The coffee shop sat quietly at the corner of Willow Street, its old brick exterior glowing under the warm yellow light of the vintage street lamp outside. At night, it felt almost like another world, detached from the noise, the rush, and the flashing lights of the city. Inside, the air carried a comforting blend of roasted beans, vanilla syrup, and the faint sweetness of freshly baked cinnamon rolls. The low hum of the espresso machine was like a soft background lullaby, broken only by the occasional clink of a spoon against porcelain. Mia had grown to love her evening shifts here. The day rush was always loud crowds of office workers demanding lattes in a hurry, students tapping on laptops while occupying tables for hours, parents wrangling children with promises of hot chocolate. But at night, it was different. The shop became intimate, almost secret. Regulars trickled in, the music was softer, and conversations lowered to a gentle murmur. It was a place where the world slowed down and people let their masks slip. It was during one of these slow evenings that he first appeared. The bell above the door chimed at exactly 9:30 p.m., and Mia glanced up from wiping the counter. The man who stepped inside was tall, his shoulders broad beneath the fit of a dark charcoal suit. His tie was loosened just enough to suggest he had come straight from work, but his appearance was still sharp, almost meticulous. He moved with an easy confidence, yet there was something subdued about him, like a person carrying an invisible weight. His eyes scanned the shop briefly, not in the impatient way of someone looking for a quick fix of caffeine, but as if he was searching for a place that felt right. After a moment, he approached the counter, his voice calm and low. Black coffee, he said. No sugar, no cream. Mia nodded, reaching for a cup. Coming right up. While she prepared his order, she studied him out of the corner of her eye, not out of rudeness, but curiosity. Most customers this late were either students pulling all-nighters or couples escaping the cold. This man didn't fit either group. He had the kind of presence that made people straighten without realizing it. His gaze, though steady, seemed distant, like it was focused on something far beyond the walls of the shop. When she handed him the cup, their fingers brushed briefly. His hands were warm, but she noticed a faint tremor when he took it, as if exhaustion had seeped into his bones. Without another word, he moved to a corner table by the window, the one farthest from the counter. He sat down, wrapped both hands around the cup, and stared out into the night. Outside, the street was mostly empty, save for the occasional passing car and the drifting leaves caught in the cool breeze. Mia returned to her tasks, yet her eyes kept drifting to him. He didn't pull out a laptop or a newspaper like most late-night customers. He didn't check his watch or scroll endlessly on his phone. Sometimes he took slow sips, other times he simply sat there, unmoving, as if the coffee was just an excuse to be in the shop. Over the next few nights, the pattern repeated itself. Same time, same order, same table. She began to expect the chime of the bell at 9:30, the sight of his dark silhouette in the doorway, the soft murmur of black coffee, no sugar, no cream. And though neither of them spoke much beyond the brief exchange at the counter, there was something oddly comforting about his presence, as if the shop, with its soft light and warm air, had quietly become his refuge. Mia didn't know his name. She didn't know where he went when he left or what he thought about as he stared out into the night. All she knew was that, for reasons she couldn't explain, she found herself looking forward to his visits just as much as he seemed to look forward to coming in. The rain that evening was steady. Not a roaring storm, but a soft, persistent drizzle that painted the streets in silver reflections. The coffee shop felt even cozier on nights like this, the windows fogged slightly, the smell of freshly ground beans richer in the damp air. Mia was wiping down the counter when she heard the familiar chime of the bell. It was 9:30 on the dot. He stepped in, shaking droplets from his shoulders. His suit jacket was darker than usual from the rain, his tie slightly crooked as though he'd hurried through the wet streets. For a moment, his gaze swept across the shop, and when their eyes met, he gave her the faintest smile, one that looked as if it took effort to form, yet carried a quiet warmth. Black coffee? she asked automatically, already reaching for a cup? Yes, he said, his voice softer than usual. But instead of moving to his corner table like he always did, he lingered at the counter. His eyes shifted to the window, where rain streaked down the glass, blurring the street outside. You must be tired, working this late every night. Mia paused, surprised. He had never initiated conversation before. She let out a small laugh. Not really, I like the night shifts. It's peaceful, less rush, more breathing space. He nodded slightly, as if her words echoed his own thoughts. Peaceful, he repeated under his breath, almost to himself. That's rare these days. There was something in his tone that made her glance at him more closely. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes looked weighed down like a man who hadn't truly rested in a long time. She handed him his coffee, the steam curling between them. Thanks, he murmured. This time, instead of walking away right away, he hesitated, as if wanting to say more, but deciding against it. He finally returned to his table, cradling the cup with both hands, when he left. Long after the rain had eased, Mia cleared his table as usual. But under the empty cup, she found something unexpected, a neatly folded napkin. On it, written in clean, deliberate handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for the coffee. It's the best part of my day." She stood there for a moment, the napkin in her hand, feeling an unfamiliar tug in her chest. Whoever he was, he didn't just come here for the coffee. After that night, their exchanges grew less formal. He would offer a quiet greeting, sometimes asking about her day. Mia still didn't know much about him, but she learned small things. He preferred his coffee almost scalding hot. He disliked overly sweet pastries. And he always noticed if she'd rearranged something in the shop. One evening, the chime of the bell rang earlier than usual. Mia looked up, expecting to see him alone, but instead a small figure stepped in first, a boy, no older than 6 or 7. He had messy brown hair that fell into his eyes, and he clutched a small blue backpack to his chest. Behind him, the man followed, carrying an umbrella dripping with rainwater. This is Ethan, he said quietly when they reached the counter. My son. The boy peeked up at her with shy curiosity, his small hands fidgeting with the zipper of his backpack. Hi, Mia said warmly, bending slightly to meet his eyes. Do you like hot chocolate? Ethan's face lit up with a hesitant smile, and he nodded. With marshmallows? Extra marshmallows, she promised, and began preparing it. While his father ordered his usual coffee, they took their drinks to the corner table, and Mia noticed how different the man seemed tonight. Around his son, there was a subtle change. His expression softened, the heaviness in his shoulders lightened just slightly. Ethan chatted quietly between sips, and though his father didn't say much, there was a tenderness in the way he listened. From the counter, Mia found herself smiling without realizing it. She had always sensed a certain loneliness in the man, but tonight, watching him with Ethan, she began to wonder if his solitude wasn't by choice but by circumstance. And as she glanced at them, father and son tucked away in their little corner of the coffee shop, she realized she was more curious than ever about the man who came every night for nothing more than black coffee. It was a Thursday evening when the truth began to slip into the open. The coffee shop had a few scattered customers, 2 students buried in textbooks, an older man reading a newspaper, and at the back, the man in his usual corner with Ethan beside him, carefully building a small tower out of sugar packets. Mia was wiping down the counter when a middle-aged couple came in. They ordered lattes and chose a table not far from the man's corner. At first, she didn't pay attention to their conversation until she caught a name. That's Daniel Harlow, the woman whispered, her voice carrying more than she realized. You know, the Daniel Harlow, CEO of Harlow Enterprises? His COPNY owns half the high-rises in the business district. Her companion leaned closer. Didn't his wife? Passed away 3 years ago, the woman replied with a sigh. Car accident, poor man. Runs one of the biggest companies in the city, but I heard he barely leaves his penthouse except for work. Asterisk Mia froze mid-wipe, her mind replaying. The name Daniel Harlow. She glanced at him discreetly. The tailored suits, the quiet authority, the way he carried himself without effort. It all made sense now. Asterisk, when the couple left, she brought a refill to his table, trying to mask the curiosity. In her voice, "So, you're Daniel Harlow?" Asterisk, he looked up at her, the faintest smile tugging at his lips. "So you've heard?" Asterisk, she hesitated. "I didn't know." Asterisk, "That I'm a CEO?" He finished for her. "Most people do. But I come here because it's the one place no one treats me like a headline or a business opportunity." He stirred his coffee slowly, eyes fixed on the swirling liquid. "Here, I'm just a man who wants a quiet cup of coffee. Nothing more." Asterisk, something in his tone silenced her. She didn't push for more answers, and he didn't offer them. But as she walked back to the counter, the truth of who he was made her see him differently, not as the untouchable figure from magazine covers, but as someone who seemed more human, maybe even more fragile, than she'd ever imagined. Asterisk, winter arrived quietly that year. The first snowfall came in the evening, soft flakes drifting under the glow of the street lamp outside. The shop was almost empty when Daniel walked in, his dark coat dusted with white. He stayed past closing that night, sitting in his corner. Long after the last customer had gone, Asterisk Mia was stacking chairs and wiping tables when he finally spoke. "You've been kind to me, Mia, more than you realize." Asterisk, she turned toward him with a small smile. "It's just coffee." Asterisk, he shook his head, his gaze steady. "No, it's not just coffee, it's the quiet conversations. The way you don't look at me like you want something. The way you talk to Ethan like he's the most important person in the room. That's rare." Asterisk, her heart softened at his words. She glanced at Ethan, who was asleep in his chair, his small head resting against the table. Daniel's eyes followed hers, and his voice grew quieter. "I've built companies, made deals worth millions, but none of it matters at the end of the day if I don't have someone I can sit with over a cup of coffee and feel human again." Asterisk, there was a pause. Outside, snowflakes swirled in the streetlight, catching in the cold air like tiny sparks. Daniel looked back at her. "Ethan likes you," he said. Then after a breath, "And so do I. Maybe next time we could have coffee somewhere else, together." Asterisk, for a moment, Mia didn't answer. Her pulse quickened, not from surprise, but from the quiet certainty in his voice. She smiled, small, genuine, and warm. "I'd like that." Asterisk, and in that little coffee shop, with the snow falling outside and the world muted in white, the lonely man who had come every night for nothing more than black coffee had found something else. Entirely a connection that neither of them had been looking for, yet both had quietly needed.